Hi, welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today's practice is all about reaffirming the essence of yoga, truly understanding and appreciating what yoga is and what it isn't. As always, play when you're comfortable, modify when you need to, rest when you need to. You ready? Let's hit the mat. We're going to begin standing at the top end of the mat and we're going to start fashioning ourselves and moving vinyasa on the mat. Find your way into a tall mountain stand with your hands together in prayer in front of your heart. Take a big breath in, floating your hands overhead, coming into a tall steeple-like stretch. Exhale to come back to prayer. Let's do that 3 times. Then exhale to take a seat, stacking your hands 3 times. Exhale to fold forward, hands in a long dangly line, and then tap the mat and come back to table 3 times. Find your way from here into your fold, hold it. Then step back into a 4-point kneeling frame and keep the toes tucked under to pull your knees off the floor, coming into a bear hold. We're going to play with the bear. You're going to give me a twist to each side and then a down dog. Let's rinse and repeat. Bear, twist, to down dog. One more time. Then drop to 4-point kneeling, release the bridges of your feet, and 3 cat-cow ranges. 1 cow, 1 cat. Repeating that 3 times. Come back to a tabletop line. Extend opposite arm and leg out and float them out to about a tabletop height. We're going to cross over the midline and then take it in the opposite direction as far as you can, shooting for a 90 line. 3 times you're going to move across the midline and then in the opposite direction. We're going to do 3 on the one side and then come back to change and repeat on the second side. Moving across the midline and then as far as you can in the opposite direction. Find your way back to 4-point kneeling and step back into a plank line. We're going to hold steady or knee to opposite elbow, working both sides, and we're shooting for 3 sets. Then 3 froggers, either stepping up the legs to a squat, floating the hands off. Your squat line could be low or it could be midway. You're going to do that 3 times. If you're feeling strong, you can do a hop as opposed to a step up. Then holding your squat line, we're going to squat, we're going to square up to fold. Squat, square up to fold. Then bring your feet in just a little bit narrower. We're going to do 1 stand, 1 squat. 1 stand, 1 squat. Last one. Find your way to a wide stance on your mat, and we're going to work a side-to-side skandasana, beginning at about hip height. Side lunge, side to side. Then find your way to the top end of the mat, and you're just going to shake your whole body. Either stay here, looking to the front of your mat, or make it into a little dance, making a little circle in one direction, and then a little circle in the opposite direction. Find your way back to the top of the mat. We're going to run through that vinyasa. You know where you're going to. Let's look for flow. Let's enjoy the movement. Hands to pray. Big breath in, coming into a steeple stretch. Exhale to come back down. 3 times. Take a seat, stacking your arms. We're going to stack opposite arm on top. And we'll do 3 full sets. Stacking opposite arm on top each time. Then into a table fold, arms long and dangly. And then tap to the mat and back. Hold your next fold. Equalize the weight between the front and the back of your feet. Step back into 4-point kneeling and set up your bear. We're going to twist side to side, down dog. Bear, side to side, down dog. Bear, side to side, down dog. Release your knees to the floor for 3 controlled rounds of cat-cow. Release to neutral. Opposite arm and leg float out into table. Squeeze across the midline. And then as far as you can in the opposite direction, shooting for a 90 hold out to the side of the room. We're shooting for 3 repeats before we change sides. Back to neutral. We're going to step back into a plank. We're doing knee to opposite elbow. And we're looking for 3 complete sets, trying to keep the integrity of the plank line. Then 3 froggers, either stepping up, hands off the floor, stepping back, hands off the floor, or making it into a jump. Then from your squat line, square up the feet, coming into a forward fold, and back into your deep squat. 3 times. Then bringing your feet in a bit more parallel, we're going to do 1 mountain stand, 1 squat, 1 mountain stand, 1 squat. Try to keep the feet as parallel as we can. And find your way into Skandasana, side lunging to the back and to the front of your mat. Then crazy little dance at the top end of the mat, shaking the body up. Maybe adding a circle to your shake dance. 1 in each direction. Back to the top end of the mat. Rinse and repeat. Hands to pray. Tall Hastasana, maybe adding a back bend, body starting to warm up, and then back to prayer. 3 times. Looking for an overhead stretch, maybe adding in a back bend, and then hands back to prayer in mountain. Seated chair, stacking opposite hand on top, 3 full sets. Then stepping back into a 4-point kneeling frame, finding your bear. We're going to twist side to side, down dog. Side to side, down dog. Side to side, down dog. Pause in the down dog. Hold it. Then release to 4-point kneeling. Find your cat-cow. Release to neutral. Opposite arm and leg floating into extension. We're going to squeeze across the midline and then open up to 90. We're going to do 3 times before we change sides. Change sides when you're ready. Squeezing across the midline and then opening arm and leg out to the side at 90. Finding your way from here into a plank, staying or adding knee to opposite elbow, 3 complete sets. Froggers, stepping up, stepping back, doing it in a hop fashion if you prefer. Then deep squat to fold. Deep squat to fold. Body should be feeling a lot warmer. Let's hold the next deep squat. Then hold the next fold, hands as close to the floor as you can. Square up the feet. Try to keep the feet tracking forward as we come into one stand. One squat. One stand. One squat. One more time. Then we're going to come to that Skandasana side lunge. We're going to do 3 sets at about hip height. And then we're going to try to come lower to the floor for 3, maybe traipsing our fingers on the floor. Maybe we can hold a stretch to one side, heel on or off, and then 3 side to side. Hold on the second side, heel off or on. Find your way back to the top end of the mat to do your crazy little bug shake dance. Maybe adding a circle as you dance and shake in one direction, and then dancing, shaking in the opposite direction. Back to the top end of the mat. Come to stillness in prayer. Finding a nice tall mountain. Big breath in, floating the hands overhead, maybe adding a back bend. And back to prayer. 3 times. Maybe holding your legs back bend. Back to prayer. Seated chairs, stacking opposite arm on top. Hold your last chair. Find your way to a table. Then fold forward to tap the mat. 3 times. Hold your last fold. Step back into a bear. And then play with the bear. 1 twist to each side. 1 down dog. Bear, twist to down dog. Last one. We'll hold the last down dog. Stretch arms, stretch legs, stretch spine. Keep that belly button pulled into center. Lead your way to 4-point kneeling. Relax the feet. Start to move through cat-cow. Hold your last cat. Find your way to a neutral tabletop stretch. Opposite arm and leg sliding out and up. Squeeze across the midline and then open up to 90. 3 times. Hold it 90. Find your way back to table. We're going to repeat on the second side. Opposite arm and leg sliding out and up. Squeezing across the midline and out to the side. We're going to hold the last 90 draw. Find your way back to 4-point kneeling and bleed into a plank line. Knee to opposite elbow. 3 sets. Hold the last one. Knee to opposite elbow. Last side. Frogger steps up. Frogger step back. Hold the last frogger step up. Reaching the arms up front. Then we're going to play 1 forward fold, squaring up the feet. 1 squat. 1 fold. 1 squat. Hold the next fold, squaring up your feet and trying to keep them as squared as you can. We're going to come into 1 squat, 1 fold. Opening up the feet if you need to, otherwise trying to keep them hammered up. Let's end in the fold. We're going to transition to Skandasana, working at about hip height for roughly 3 oscillations between the front and the back of your mat. Then starting to drop down a little bit lower. Maybe ending on one side and holding, hands on the floor, or you could reach. Then 3 oscillations again between the front and the back of your mat. Ending on the second side, holding. Then crazy dance at the top end of the mat. Find your way to the top, lead up, find your little dance. Maybe circle out while dancing and shaking. And then one in the opposite direction. Getting all that tension out of the body. Alright, let's do that one more time. Find your nice tall mountain stand and center yourself in prayer. Big breath in to reach overhead, maybe ending a back bend. Exhale to come back down. You're going to do that 3 times. We're going to hold the last back bend. Center yourself in prayer. Let's find our chair stacks, alternating the top arm. 3 full sets. Hold the last chair. Then fold forward into table, tap to the floor, and back to table, at least 3 times. Hold the last fold. Step back into a bear hold, knees off the floor, toes tucked under. 1 twist to either side, 1 down dog. Hold your last down dog. Stretch arms, stretch legs, stretch spine. Ease your way into 4-point kneeling, release the bridges of your feet, and begin to move in cat-cow. Hold your last cat. Breathe into the back of your ribs. Square up in table. Opposite arm and leg sliding out and up. Squeeze across the midline. Open up to 90. 3 times. Hold your 99 on the last set. Then add a drop down to the mat. Trace across the midline, holding your limbs on the mat. Hold it. Float back to table. Let's do the same on the second side. Opposite arm and leg, sliding out and up. We're going to squeeze across the midline and up to 90. We're going to shoot for roughly 3 complete sets. We're going to hold the last 99. Then we're going to drop back to the mat. We're going to trace across the midline on the mat, and we're going to hold it. Back to table, we're going to find our frogger step or hops up. We're going to hold the last step up into our deep squat or our frogger line. Then we're going to place hands to floor. We're going to square up the feet to fold. And we're going to open up to squat. We're going to hold the next fold, really trying to get nice and deep. Trying to think, hands to floor and hold as best you can. Then trying to keep that parallel line through the legs. We're going to lead up into a stand. We're going to do one tall, relaxed mountain stand. One squat, trying to keep the feet looking forward. So you can think of it as a marriage between chair and the deep squat line. We're going to end deep and hold. We're going to transition into Skandasana. We're going to do 3 side lunges at about hip height. And we're going to begin to transition lower to the mat. We're going to hold to one side, hands on the floor or hands off the floor. Then we're going to alternate side to side. We're going to hold on the second side. Hands on or off the floor. And then from here, we're going to find our way to the seat on the mat. And we're going to find a 1999 looking towards the top end of the mat. So you're bending the front leg, you're thinking knee and ankle in as straight a line as you can. And you're trying to line up the knee and the back ankle as best you can. You can bring that foot in closer towards the midline if you prefer. We're going to do the first few hands on the floor. So you're going to relax to the floor, looking towards the top end of the mat. Then you're going to rotate, bringing your hands with you, and you're going to set up the same line, looking to the back of your mat. We're going to alternate side to side, one to the front, one to the back. One to the front, one to the back. We're going to end at the front, and we're going to add a soft bow. End of the bow, hold it. Lead back up and start to play with that 90-90. One to the back end of the mat, one to the top end of the mat. Keep alternating between the back and the front of your mat, finding a rhythm that makes sense for you. We're going to end this time looking towards the back end of the mat. And we're going to add our folds. Not overthinking the fold, just taking a few forward bows. Thinking belly to spine as you take that fold, and get a gander on how that front limb feels as you fold forward. We're going to hold the last fold or bow. And then begin to play again with that 90-90, one to the front, one to the back, giving yourself roughly 3 oscillations between the front and the back of your mat. Not rushing, opening up mindfully into the groin area. We're going to end looking to the front of the mat. You can add and lean forward if you need to. And we're going to try to lift the back foot off the mat a few times dynamically. Ending the lift, hold it. Then begin to play dynamically. 190, 90 to the back, 1 to the front. We're going to enter the back, we're going to lean forward slightly, and we're going to lift the back foot off the mat and back. We're going to end in the lift, you're going to hold it. Then you're going to 90-90 again. 1 to the front, 1 to the back. Keep alternating. We're going to end looking towards the top end of the mat, and we're going to try to lift the whole front knee. You could lean back or you could lean to the front. You're going to try to lift it roughly 5 times. If you need to, you can hold onto the foot as you lift. Maybe ending in a lift hold. Then start to play 190, 90 to the back. 1 to the front. Keep oscillating between the back and the front of your mat for roughly 3 turns. Taking your time, not rushing. Three, 4 turns. Then find your way to the back of your mat in your 90-90 frame. We're going to add that little lift hold. Hold the last lift. Ninety play. 1 to the front. 1 to the back. Roughly 3 turns. Keep your seat nice and tall throughout. We're going to end looking towards the top end of the mat. And we're going to add a fold forward, trying to drop down onto the forearms, maybe bringing the hands together and then stepping back up. So you're going to step down, you're going to step up. Maybe just placing the palms one over the other as you step down and then back up. Shoot for roughly 5 step downs and 5 step ups. And then we'll end low, maybe interlacing the hands and hold. Then find your way from here back to your 90-90, moving between the back and the front of your mat for a few dynamic turns. We're going to try to end looking towards the back end of the mat. We're going to find that fold to drape the palms one on top of the other, stepping down and stepping up. Maybe alternating the hand that you're stepping down with first and upwards. Shoot for a few dynamic turns. And then let's try to hold the last one. maybe even interlacing the hands, pressing into the fisted hands, pressing into the elbow points. Finding your way back up for your 90-90 play. One to the top end, one to the back end, one to the top end, one to the back. One more full oscillation between the front and the back. Then end looking at the top end of the mat and use this frame to find your way into a gate-like stretch. Let's extend the front leg and let's tuck the back heel as close to the bum as we can. We're going to fold forward, thinking either hands to thigh, hands to shin, or hands to toes. We're going to hold. Or you can slide up and down dynamically, maybe 5 times. Before you hold the last one. Sit back up, find your 90-90 line, and then start to play. One to the back, one to the front. Give yourself roughly 3 dynamic turns, oscillating between the front end and the back end of your mat. We're going to end looking towards the back end of the mat. We're going to extend the leg closest to the back end of the mat, and we're going to tuck the back heel closer towards the bottom. You're going to fold forward to hold, or you're going to play dynamically, folding forward and coming back up. Hold the last fold. Find your way back to your 90-90 setup frame and begin to play. One to the top end, one to the back end. Keep oscillating for roughly 3 turns, 3 full turns. We're going to end looking towards the top end of the mat. You're going to come back into that gate-like line. We're going to fold and come back up, this time trying to drop down onto either the palms or the forearms that you fold. You're going to end in the fold, preferably palms or forearms to floor. Then you're going to take the inside hand, you're going to cross over the foot, reaching for the outside of your foot, you're going to hold. Release hand to floor, up and down a few times dynamically. We're going to end in the fold, preferably on the palms or the forearms. You're going to cross the outside hand to grab for the arch of your foot. Hold. Peel back up. Find your way back into your 90-90 line and begin to play. One turn to the back, one to the front. Roughly 3 oscillations. We're going to end looking towards the back end of the mat. You're going to set up your gate line. We're going to fold and sit up dynamically roughly 5 times. Keep the foot of your extended leg actively braced. We're going to end in the folds. We're going to take the inside hand, we're going to cross over to the outside of the foot of that extended leg. We're going to hold. Come back up to a tall seat and begin to play. 1 fold, 1 seat. Hold your last fold. This time we're going to take the outside arm. We're going to reach for the inside, for the arch of our foot. We're going to hold. Peel back up. Set up your 90-90 line. Last round, we're going to move dynamically between rotating to look to the front, rotating to look to the back. We're going to end looking towards the top end of the mat. You're going to set up your gate line. This time, you're going to find the junction between your extended leg and your bent leg. We're going to fold to tap elbows to floor and back up. If you like, you can do a step down and a step up. Alternating the hand that you're stepping down with and the hand that you're stepping up with. We're going to end in the fold, keeping the hands loosely stacked or making a fist and holding that fold. We're going to give ourselves at least 20 seconds here, keeping the foot of your extended leg braced. Find your way back to your 90-90 line and begin to rotate dynamically to look towards the back end and then the front end of your mat, moving dynamically between those two ends. We're going to end looking towards the back end of the mat. We're going to set up our last gate line. We're looking to fold in the middle. We're going to step down and step up, alternating the hand that we're stepping down and stepping up with. Hold the last one, keeping your stack loose or interlacing the hands and holding, keeping belly to spine, breathing. Find your way back up. Set up that 90-90 line one last time and begin to move between the front and the back end of your mat. You're going to end looking to the front of the mat and then use this frame to find your way into a seat of your choice. It could be as simple as easy sit, just stacking one leg in front of the other, or you could come into a half or a full lotus line. Find a tall seat. If you prefer, you can come down onto the back in Shavasana. Close your eyes and take your focus inward. Hands could be relaxed on your knees, or you could place them stacked one over the other on your heart center. Close your eyes and take your focus inward. Let's take our thoughts back to the theme of today's class, which was reinforcing the true essence of yoga. Yoga is not successfully tying yourself into a pretzel or holding a complicated inversion. What yoga is separating ego from self, fostering awareness of self and of others, being open-minded, not forming attachment to physical things, finding a connection with self and others, being more mindful in your actions and your words, and fostering kindness and compassion with yourself and with others. Allow your work on the mat to translate to what you do outside of the safe confines of your mat. With those thoughts, let's end off today's practice by nodding chin to chest, internalizing the words Om Shanti. Peace within, peace without. Thank you so much for coming out and joining me for today's practice. I do hope you enjoyed. Till next time, keep it light.